I think at this level, you've got no VAR. And with respect, and this probably isn't with respect, the referee standard at this level is not what it was in Championship and Premier League level.
Imagine VAR on the Laird incident.
Oh,
yes,
yeah.
it's 2 yards in your plank. Of course it's not.
Why are you even referring to VAR? You idiots. Yeah.
So welcome back to BCFC Royal Blue. And on Sunday afternoon, Birmingham City beat Sutton United 1-0 to progress to the FA Cup second round. Now, I think it's fair to say it was a pretty slow affair, a pretty dull game if we're going to be brutally honest. But it did have its moments, and we're going to discuss that during this video right now. So, Dad, Birmingham City progressed to the second round of the FA Cup. What were your thoughts on the game?
Well, I think 1-0 victory. Most Blues fans and most people watching it would have expected more. But at the end of the day, it's job done. It's a cup competition, and it's just about getting to the next round. Yeah, we weren't perfect, but we did dominate the game in terms of possession. We didn't create as many chances as we'd like. But then if you ask fans of Huddersfield, who got knocked out by Tamworth, Bolton, who got knocked out by Warsaw, and even, on the same day, Wrexham got knocked out by Harrogate, you'd think, well, okay, we won 1-0 against Sutton United. We should have scored more goals, but we're in the next round and they're not.
Yeah.
So effectively, it's job done.
Yeah, I love that. Job done. I think that's a really good way of describing it. It wasn't a perfect game. A fair play to Sutton. I think they set up pretty well. I mean, I say set up pretty well. They were clearly, their tactic was to have 11 men behind the ball, wasn't it? They were camped out in their own half for effectively the full 90 minutes. But they were compact. Yeah. They didn't really let us play the free-flowing football we like to play. And I think they forced us into a lot of side-to-side play, didn't they? But before we get into the breakdown of the game, Dad, because we've got a few chances to discuss, but this one big one for me was the penalty, but that loops into, was that arguably one of the worst officiated games you've ever seen in your life?
Yeah, that's hard. We've seen so many badly refereed games.
They missed basic throw-ins.
Yeah, and they're the two main things I've got. I mean, they're really sort of bad. I mean, you can't blow and say it's a foul when it was clearly in the box, because that means it's a penalty. And the commentators were saying that, was it because he was given advantage from a previous foul? But then we still had advantage, so it didn't make any sense. Exactly. It was a clear mistake by the referee. But just to go back to, before we go on to that, the starting lineup really surprised me for Blues. Chris Davies picked a really, really strong team. Yeah. And seven changes.
And fair play to the Blues fans, Dad, because in the Sutton pre-video, me and you said he might play a weakened team. And I think our selection for the starting 11 highlighted arguably a bit of a weaker team. But Blues fans in the comments were going, no, I think he's going to play a full-strength team. And fair play to him, he did.
Yeah, and we did say in the pre-match video as well that he'll go two ways. Either he'll give others a chance that don't normally get in, or he'll do that because he wants to maintain the momentum for the league. So obviously, seeing the likes of Paik and Iwata in the team wasn't a massive surprise in the end. But seven players came in from the win that we had against the Fulham under-21s and the EFL Trophy. So Allsop came back in goal. Laird started at right back. Ben Davies came back in place of Sanderson. Iwata and Paik were in the middle. Luke Harris started in the number 10, and Keshi Anderson came back in on the left. So there's a lot of changes. And when I looked at that lineup initially, I thought, wow, that is a really strong. In fact, a team that you would pick in the league.
Yeah, definitely
for a league game. So that was that. What do you think about the Willumsson again being out on the right?
Well, I thought Willumsson had a good... Well, he got on the score sheet, didn't he? Yeah. I think he had a good game again, but I much prefer Willumsson in the number 10. I always have.
It was a leading question, actually, because I feel the same.
I love Alfie May. There's two things at the moment that I'm certain of with Birmingham City. I love Alfie May in the 9, and I love Willumsson in the 10. I think we look completely different when those two players play in those positions. They're my two things at the moment that I personally want to see more consistently. What does that mean for other players in other positions, i.e. Stansfield, Harris, and some of the midfield there, because it gets rotated with Williamson? I'm not too sure, but for me, I personally think we've looked the best team and the most dangerous team when Williamson's in the 10 and Alfie May's in the 9.
I completely agree, and I think that should be the blueprint. Clearly, it's Chris Davies' choice.
Of course
he likes Stansfield in the number 9. You can tell that by the amount of times he's picked him.
And I trust Chris Davies, Dad.
Yeah, me too. And it's just we can see things as fans that obviously we don't get the benefit of being in training with them and seeing what they're doing. So he knows what and how he wants to set them up. Interestingly as well, which they make comments of, which was clear when you watched the game, that Sutton let the grass grow a little bit longer as well to try to slow the ball, and they did as well.
And in the second half, Dad, they only watered the half that we were attacking.
Is that right?
Non-league dark arts being... Yeah, it's true. Cause,
fair play to them for doing that.
I saw on X that someone said they're only sprinkling our side of the pitch where we were attacking, and the
Okay.
grass was a bit longer. But the whole grass thing, I get it, but that is the same for both teams. Yeah, the grass is slightly... I get that we would need to adapt to that for the first little bit of the game, but they're professional footballers. Can they not deal with an extra inch of grass?
But you could see, though, where we were kicking it and the ball wasn't as zippy. And a few times the ball got caught under our feet when we was on the attack. Sutton would have potentially trained for that for the whole week, knowing that the grass was going to be slightly longer, knowing they're going to have to give it a bit extra. So it took a bit of time for it to just... We're not saying, by the way, that's the reason we didn't score more goals, but it didn't help, and that's fair play to Sutton for coming up with these little... They're the little things that make a difference sometimes.
Also, as well, the pitch was really narrow. I felt like it was really long, and I felt like, again, I don't know whether this was the pitch dimensions or whether it was the way that Sutton set up. I felt like there wasn't much room on the pitch. I felt like every blade of grass was covered by someone. I don't know whether it was a psychological thing or where I was viewing it, I don't know, but it felt like a narrow pitch and there was a lack of space on the pitch as well for me for that 90 minutes. But I think it was, as you said, what you described as, Dad, was perfect with job done. It wasn't a perfect performance, far from it. We were definitely doing a lot of side-to-side passing again because we weren't necessarily being as direct, but that seems to be Chris Davies' style of football, that probing, which is fine. I think a lot of Blues fans wish that we went at them a little bit more and created a few more chances, which I think is a fair observation. But overall, job done, and we're into the next round.
Yeah, and they were quite a tall team and quite a physical team. We did say that in the preview, that when we did the preview video, we did say that they're likely to be physical, and they were. We weren't allowed to pass the ball around because, like you said, they had such a block at the back. There was two banks of four. But then that's the issue, isn't it? When teams do that, we've got to find ways of getting through, haven't we? Initially, that was a bit of not a struggle, but we needed time to adjust to that. But
I think that we've been getting better at that as the season's gone on, Dad. Because do you remember when we were playing teams, and definitely at the start of the season, teams were coming to St.Andrews and just parking the bus. And I said to you on many post-match videos, we need to find new ways to break teams down. We need, fair enough, I'm not knocking playing out from the back. I'm not knocking possession football here. I'm absolutely not. That's here to stay. I love it. I think Chris Davies has done a fantastic job. But when you're facing your Mansfields, your Charltons and your Sutton Uniteds, and they do go that little bit more physical, a little bit more defensive, I think we need more in the arsenal now to break these sort of teams down and really go at them, because those games were there for the taking. We just didn't have any more ideas.
Yeah. You've run out of ideas, and we've said this in loads of already pre and post-match videos, that if you only have a 1-goal lead, you defend a 1-goal lead, it always gives the opposition the encouragement to go for it and to try and get those goals, just like Mansfield did. Sutton, I mean, to be fair, they didn't really make that many chances. We'll come on to a couple of chances they had in a moment, but let's go back to the first half, really. That penalty you were talking about, because that was early in the game, 9 minutes. I looked at that. As soon as he blew the whistle, I thought, that's great, it's a penalty. Yeah. And then he gestured, but it wasn't like on the line. He was a good, a few yards.
2 yards in. I'd say 2 yards in the box.
So he wasn't even close. No. But then what disappointed me as well is that the assistant referee was right there.
The ref looked at the assistant ref to almost say, "Help me out here." I mean, the lino didn't have a clue, so that was poor.
All the Blues fans were baffled. They're looking around, baffled. Well, how is that not a penalty? I couldn't. And actually, where we took the free kick from was sort of in the middle between the. It was nowhere near where the free kick was actually taken. So
it was borderline the worst decision he could have made, Dad, because if he didn't pull it back, we'd have scored because he played advantage. So it was almost the perfectly wrong decision to make. I didn't understand it.
Completely. But that should have been a penalty, and it wasn't. And Laird did well because he lost the ball initially, then won it back. He battled for it back. Then he got sort of hacked down in the penalty box, and then the referee gives that a free kick. So, it should have been a penalty. It wasn't. We moved on. We didn't score from the free kick, but we were in total control of the game in terms of, once again, possession. And, but I don't think we created that many clear-cut chances, though.
There was not clear cut. I think we had a lot of the ball, a lot of possession. We had a couple of shots, but like as you say, clear cut chances. We didn't create a vast lot, really, did we, in that context? But just as it's popped up organically, Dad, I want to mention it. I thought Laird versus Civi on that right hand side was a great battle in the first half.
It was,
very physical. They were going at each other for a lot of the game, and I thought that was a really good battle. And it's good for Laird because he's coming back off injury, so it was good for him to have that physical battle. But I just got it here. I mean, I noticed around 22 minutes, 23 minutes, we did start to commit a few more men further forward because I felt like it was a slow start to the game. As I said earlier, lots of sideward passing. And then we did go at them a little bit more, about 20, 25 minutes in between that marker where we did commit a few men further forward. And Stanfield had a chance on 26 minutes. It got played through to him, but he scuffed it.
Yeah, I think he hit it with the outside of his foot. So instead of if he'd have aimed anywhere at the right hand side of the goalkeeper, i.e. the left going forward, it would have gone in.
Yeah.
But I think when he hit it, it almost like it hit the outside of his foot and it spun and went wide of the post. That was a really good chance.
It was, it was exactly. And then in terms of my notes, that after that Stansfield chance there, I've marked the goal as the next chance, which was on 33 minutes from Williamson. And what I liked about this goal was it wasn't a typical Blues goal. It was a throw-in from Paik to Kesh Anderson, back to Paik, swung in, and Williamson then took it. And I thought that was a really nice goal actually, because we haven't scored many of them this season where we just do whip across straight in and he gets in there. And
it was a little bit like the goal we scored against Mansfield, but a little bit because that's the way we played that on the Mansfield goal. It was paid from Anderson to,
but it was all on the deck. This was in the air.
Yeah, it was initially. Yeah, it was, but he scored on the deck, didn't he? Because the ball dropped to him. And again, it just shows how intelligent he is as a player.
Great player.
Because that where he placed that ball was just to the side of the goalkeeper, but between the post. And just like, some of the goals he scored, he wouldn't have gone in anywhere else.
Great delivery from Paik, great finish from Williamson. And I'm so glad Paik got that assist because he's always the playmaker, isn't he? He starts so many of our positive runs and momentum build-ups, and for him to get that assist
he's turned in to be one of our most influential players because he's involved in virtually every goal in terms of, either assists or scoring. And, there's not much you can say about him, really. He's just so good. I mean, it's just great that we've got him because I think a few people were a bit unsure when we first got him. I thought he's almost a little bit tall, but when you look at technically, he's very good.
Outstanding. Actually, coming on to his one moment he'll want to forget, Dad, obviously we've just discussed the goal. On 38 minutes, Paik plays a loose ball to Ben Davies and they go through. And I think their striker just felt the pressure of a swarm coming on him because obviously he took it quite early and spooned it. But that was a perfect example for me. Is if you get too complacent or you'll take your eye off the ball, these teams can have chances.
I've got those. That's the Jaden Harris. He went through on goal. He went through on goal, and I think I think on that goal as well. I think the long grass scuppered them as well.
Do you think?
Because it slowed the ball down for him as well. So he was going through, and he's pretty fast actually, Jaden Harris. And in fact, actually, the way he broke as well, he was breaking at pace, so our players had to get up to speed to catch him. But the grass, if you look at it, it worked against them in that favour because it slowed him down. Otherwise, he'd have been away and a lot closer to Allsop. But he ended up having to take it wide. And he should have scored. He didn't because that would have been undeserved. But that's what the FA Cup's about.
Yeah, it's football.
That's exactly how you lose FA Cup games, where you don't take your chances and the other team had 1 or 2 chances and they scored. He didn't, thankfully.
Apart from that, though, Paik was outstanding.
Oh, yeah.
Apart from that one error there where he passed it to Ben Davies short, I thought Paik got man of the match, didn't he, in the end, and had a great game. But there was also a penalty shout out for them on 44 minutes, which was naff. He effectively jumped over. And I don't understand why players do this, because if he would have stayed on his feet and took his chance, he would have had a much better chance of scoring.
I think what it is, Matt, I think at this level, you've got no VAR, and with respect, and this probably isn't with respect, the referee standard at this level is not what it was in Championship and Premier League level.
Imagine VAR on the Laird incident.
Oh,
yes, it was 2 yards in your plank. Of course, it's penalty.
Why are you even referring to VAR? You idiots. So at half time, 1-0. Okay, and then the second half, we started off in the same vein really, because it's almost like there wasn't a half time. The players came out and both sides started doing exactly the same as they did in the first half. There was no real major difference. We had a good run from Laird down the right hand side early on. And knocked it into Harris, who knocked it straight at the goalkeeper.
I've got that 58 minutes.
That should have been 2-0. Then in the 66th minute, Chris Davis made the sub, so Anderson and Harris were replaced by Yokoyama and Alfie May. Yeah. And as always, Alfie May comes on again. I just love him. He just. Again, that energy he gives the team is just unbelievable, pulling players all over the place. Yeah, he didn't score a goal, but what he does for the side is much bigger than that in terms of more other stuff.
What I love about Alfie May, and it sometimes goes under the radar with him, is his leadership. He's always rallying the team. He's always shouting at his teammates. He's always pushing for better standards. And, he's 31, so would be classed as a more mature head in the team, isn't he? And that experience is invaluable. And the way he shouts at people, commands at people, it goes unnoticed sometimes, but he's a big commanding presence on the pitch that carries that experience at these sorts of levels. So I love Alfie May, and I said in my mind at half time, I hope Yakayama and May come on. I thought it might have been a little bit earlier, but 65 minutes, happy enough with that. That's enough to have some impact.
Yeah, I think he's as well as trying to sort of work out the right tactics for each game and work out the way the game would go. I think he's also got game time in mind for various players as well.
It was only because at the end of the first half, I thought that was such a boring game of football. I thought it was so slow. I thought we were so side to side. Yakayama and May would have made that more dynamicness, that more going at them a little bit more aggressively. So I thought we might have seen them a little bit earlier. Happy with 65 minutes, but yeah, I felt like they made a bit of a difference when they came on.
They did. Yeah. We had a bit more impetus, but again, without really being that effective in terms of goal scoring chances. 78th minute, 2 more subs. Stansfield came off, and so did Ethan Laird for Samstead and for Yuki. Mm-hmm. Yuki came on.
Yuki was like prime Maradona at one point.
He was. He again showed you. I think he's showing us what we actually lack up front. I know we've got Lyndon Dykes, I get that, and you could argue that he's a similar type of player to Yuki in terms of his physicalness. He'll put himself about, he'll go for aerial battles and stuff like that. But you look at Yuki, you put a ball into him, he's going to win that ball. He had a couple of shots that were deflected off. He had one that he challenged from a corner that the defender just got before him, but it was a real threat to that thing. He made a massive difference when he came on. I think that's something that we will lack, because obviously Yuki is not going to get too much game time, particularly in the league, and we might need that physical presence at times. But I fair play to him when he came on. He made a massive difference. Yuki did.
Did.
And he made us much more feel like much more of a threat.
Yeah, definitely.
I believe. Yeah, there's not many players like him that you virtually guarantee that he'll win virtually every ball. Remember last season when we obviously didn't have the same squad, but Yuki was in that squad. We resorted to hitting the ball up to Yuki.
Yeah.
And 9 times out of 10, he'd win the ball or hold the ball up. And, he's an effective player. So, maybe we need something like that as well. Just one final chance they had.
Yes.
In the 85th minute, when the ball was crossed from the right, and they had their substitute, I think it's Nadeson, his name is. He actually was free just in front of the 6-yard line, but he kicked it down into the ground and it looped just over the bar. That would have been a killer, wouldn't it?
That's a big chance.
Because that would have meant, if that had gone in, probably extra time and potentially penalties as well. But this is the FA Cup, and those types of chances are what make or break a game. Mm-hmm. They didn't take it, thankfully, and we ended up winning. Clearly, we deserve to win that game. There's absolutely no doubt. But with the FA Cup, we've seen teams lose games where they've had a completely dominant performance. Higher up in the league, these teams, and the lower teams have actually broke away, scored goals, and they've actually ended up winning games. But that is not what the beauty of the FA Cup is, apart from when it involves your team.
Exactly. Especially being a Blues fan.
Yeah,
we're used to a lot of heartache, aren't we? So
I mean, you could argue he should have scored that.
He should have scored
because if with a bit of composure, he might not have tried to kick it. So that could have easily been 1-1.
And there was also, again, I don't know whether it's worth even shouting or giving it any attention.
Penalty.
It was the penalty shout, which was ridiculous. It was absolutely ridiculous. No. But we might as well talk about it because it was a talking point at the end of the game. And for me, I thought it was an absolute joke. Get off.
Yeah, to be fair, nobody really paid much regard for it. I mean, they're going to appeal, aren't they? If you're going to go down the box and there's
again, though, I feel like you have a better chance, like the one in the first half. Stay on your feet. Because you might hit it at the keeper, you might hit the post, you might put it back in the box, you might do something outrageous with it that you wouldn't get by getting a fouled penalty shout. I just sometimes I don't get the psychology.
I think the mentality of the player, who the attacking player is. Well, we're going to have more chance scoring from a penalty. Let's go for it.
Yeah, but it's never a penalty.
No, I know.
You've got to have the.
That's why they embarrass themselves, because obviously the problem is, particularly when it's got TV cameras there, every angle's virtually covered. Exactly. So to me, about that, we talk about possession. We know that we understand that possession is just how much you've got the ball. We did have 74% possession overall in that game, but it just indicated to me the Blues team, whether we're playing the FA Cup, the EFL Trophy, or the league, we've got to make more of that possession. We've got to be more clinical. We've got to score more goals, and we have to, give ourselves a bit more daylight between us and the opposition. Because even a team like Sutton United in National League, up until the final whistle, had a chance to equalise.
Yeah, exactly.
And we can't allow that to happen, and that's something we have to get better at. But at the end of the day. Yeah. It's a potential banana skin that's avoided. We're in the next round. We will obviously see who we get in the second round.
Yeah.
And a lot of teams in our League One are out.
Yeah.
They've not avoided the banana skins, and we have. And let's just hope that Chris Davies and the lads have learned a lot from that, because if anything, teaching you to whatever, which they always do anyway, continue to respect the opposition. Because credit to Sutton, they worked hard. They were set up well. They obviously undertook their game plan really, really well. They didn't really offer very much. I think they were more concerned about not conceding than scoring, thankfully.
Yeah.
So they did their job really, but like you say, strange refereeing decisions. I mean,
bizarre,
that could have ruined the game.
Yeah. For me, just as a conclusive statement, a forgettable game, underwhelming, slow, boring. It doesn't matter. What you said at the start of the podcast was perfect. Our job done.
Yeah.
We are through to the next round of the FA Cup.
No one is going to remember this result.
I don't care.
No,
exactly.
no one is going to remember this result. But if we'd have got taken to extra time and penalties and lost, everybody would remember the result.
Exactly.
But no one's going to give a monkeys about this result.
Exactly.
At the end of the day, we're in the hat. They're not. That's job done. And some people must say, well, you're top of League One and they're a National League team. But, talk to Wrexham, talk to Bolton, talk to Huddersfield, and a lot of other teams in previous years who have got knocked out by teams much, much lower. In the FA Cup, it's just about getting through.
Yeah.
And we put in the performance to do that. Yeah, it should have been more. It wasn't. We're through, and that's job done.
Job done. I think that's a perfect way to end the podcast. You started it on job done. We're going to end it on job done as well. But as always, Blues fans, we'd love to hear from you. I mean, what were your thoughts from the game? I mean, we can't deny it was a little bit of a underwhelming affair, but we got through. As Dad said, job done. So we're through to the next round, and that's the most important thing that matters. But please let us know your comments in the section below, and myself and Dad will get round to those as soon as we can. And maybe you're a Sutton United fan. Maybe you're tuning in for the first time, or you watched the pre-video. Please let us know your thoughts in the comment section below as well. We welcome all comments on this channel. And if you like this video specifically, please don't forget to give us a thumbs up, and please check us out on our social media channels. We have an X page, we have an Instagram page, and we're also on Spotify now if you'd like to listen to your podcasts over there. And if you haven't already, please don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel and press the little bell as well. It gives you the notifications for the channel. And myself and Dad will see you on the next video all about Birmingham City.